For those of you that don't know, my name is Dara. So since February is Heart Month, I was born, for those of you that don't know, I was born with a congenital heart defect called tetralogy of Fallot. And do not ask me how to spell it because I still don't know how to spell it. If you guys want to know how to spell it, ask my grandmother. So I was born with it. I have two healthy siblings. I'm the only one that has many health problems. We'll get into it. So I had through seven, correct? 7 major surgeries. The last one I was 3.5. So that was in 94. Y'all do the math to see how old I am. So from 94 to 99, the year that my mom passed away, my cardiologist said everything was stable. So I got used to the word stable. That became my comfort. And then in 99, 2 months after my mom passed away, he told my grandma, Darren is gonna need another open heart surgery. And we're gonna have to fix the valve. So the valve that they put in me when I was 4, it doesn't grow with me. It's an artificial valve. So as I grow, this valve shrinks. And it is a valve where the blood flow is narrowing, so it's not getting to my lung, my left lung. And so as I got older, the valve is shrinking. So in 99, he said she's gonna need another surgery when she turns 12. So we were preparing for when I turned 12 that I was gonna need another surgery. So I turned 12, we go, and every year we go, me and my grandma, we always pray in the car. So I get to 12, age of 12, and he looks at me, he looks at my echogram, he looks at my EKG, and he looks at my echo, EKG, and my chest x-ray, and he says, oh, you're okay, you're stable, I'll see you next year. So I look at my grandma, I'm like, what does that mean? She goes, you don't need another surgery. I said, okay. So he brought back the following year when she turns 16, that I'm gonna need another surgery. 16, I turned 16, is the year that my pediatric cardiologist wasn't there, and I had to see his doctor that was in there, and was one of the moments that it was also an eye-opening for me as a cardiac patient, because growing up, I knew I had a heart condition. I knew, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what condition it was. I didn't know how severe it was until he walks in, and for the past few years prior, there were interns that would come in and they would have to learn about, patients. And this intern came and he was sitting down, and the doctor looked at me and he goes, okay, so what condition do you have? And I said, oh, I have a heart condition. And he's like, no, what heart condition do you have? And I'm looking at him, and Mary, mind you, I'm a 16-year-old, like Auntie Christine said. I was a teenager, I was a rebellious teenager, and we were on alone. I only wanted to do is go shopping. I looked at him and I said, I have a heart condition, can you not hear me? And he goes, Darylyn, seriously, what kind of heart condition do you have? And I was getting irritated, he was getting irritated with me, and my grandma gave me this look of, knock it off. And I'm like, she's pissing me off. Truly, he was pissing me off. And my grandma goes, it's tetralogy of Fallot. And he looked at my grandma and goes, you're not sitting on this table. She is. So she needs to answer me. And I'm like, tetralogy of Fallot. And he goes, do you know what it is? I'm like, absolutely not. And he goes, okay, when you go home, you need to learn about this. And in the process of all of this, God is speaking to me. And I'm not hearing what God is saying. And I'm only hearing what this doctor is saying. And all through this time, God is speaking to me while I'm Googling this heart condition and how severe it is, and how survived 16 years without this surgery. And so 16 happened. We went to 18, where when I turned 18, I needed a new pediatric cardiologist. I needed from pediatric to an adult doctor. And I remember looking at my grandma going, so what's gonna happen? And she goes, well, you're an adult, so you need to find a cardiologist. And I told her, I was like, I don't want a new cardiologist. Truly, she goes, well, sorry, you're an adult now. I said, okay. So we go see my pediatric cardiologist, and I looked at him and I said, so Dr. Eddie, what is the case of me if I do a new cardiologist? And he goes, oh, I still can see you for as long as I can. From 18 to 29, I got to see him. That's how long I got to see him until COVID hit. And he retired after. And when all of the word stable became my comfort zone, became my comfort blanket, became something that I was so comfort with, when I heard a couple of years ago, when the cardiologist over here said we weren't stable anymore, I freaked out. And I was consumed with, oh my gosh, am I gonna die? To God was speaking to me, to not hearing what he was saying, to hearing what this doctor was saying, and to knowing, okay, if this doctor on Kauai, I'm sorry, if you guys see him, I'm so sorry, but this cardiologist over here did not know what was going on with me. So he said, okay, you're gonna go see a specialist on Oahu. And he made me go see a specialist on Oahu. And within 15 minutes, that specialist called me and said, I'm not gonna take your case. And I said, okay. And then I started freaking out again. And as I was freaking out, the Lord was speaking to me. And in my brain, I do not hear God's voice sometimes. I only hear my voice. And then came 24 hours after, came a doctor that I'm seeing now. And he said, oh, I'll take your case. Your case is easy. What are they saying? It's hard. Your case is easy. And when I met him, it was on my grandma's birthday, and he said, he was going through my chart, and he said, oh, the pediatric cardiologist was Dr. Reddy. I said, yeah. He goes, oh, I interned under him. One of my prayers was God would bring a cardiologist down for me that knew my case specifically, or knew my old cardiologist. And he said, oh yeah, I knew Dr. Reddy, I'll take you. And when I had a little heart scare a couple of years ago, for a lot of us that remember, he was explaining to me is that because my valve is shrinking as I got older, the blood flow is having a hard time producing through my body, and it has to change. He's like, I know you don't want it to change, but it has to change. And we're not gonna cut you open. I said, okay, thank you. And it's just this tiny thing that's in my valve. And we're gonna replace it, and we're gonna put in a new one. And it's very interesting how, when I do an echogram, that you can hear the blood flow in my heart. It's not a normal swishing, it's an ocean sound. And because of so much blood clot that's in my body, that it's hard for them to even see the valve. And sometimes they're not gentle, it hurts. And I'm like, ow, and I have to move, and they're looking at me like, can you please keep still? I'm like, well, you're digging in my rib cage. And when through all of this, God is speaking to me. He's speaking to me a verse. It's Jeremiah 29:11. And every single time it's Jeremiah 29:11. And when the last freak out that I had, God said, hello, Jeremiah 29:11 from 94. I was speaking that to you from when you were 4 years old. We knew God when we were 4. We grew up Catholic, but yet we weren't strong as we were now. So many times God brought my family through the valley and the struggles, but yet we were strong. But I didn't, like what Auntie Christine said, I didn't have strong Christian family members behind me. My grandma, my mom, who's probably passed away, my auntie, who were praying for us, who were praying for me. You know, every time my auntie would send me a prayer before we would do my doctor's appointment, my grandma, she would get, we'll be in the elevator, there's plenty of people in the elevator. She'd grab my hand and we'll start praying. You know, people would look at us and we'll just start praying. And as we go out, my papa was like, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're praying. He's like, oh, okay. So I just want to thank you guys for your love and your support. So March 23rd is when I do my MRI. So please pray for me. I am claustrophobic, so they're not going to give me anything for it. So yeah, keep praying. Thank you.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Sorry, not the song. Not the song.